Hey guys, my name is Sarah and today I'm going to be doing my long-awaited 2017 bookshelf tour. So currently I own 3 bookshelves and 2 floating bookshelves. But yeah, so without further ado, let's just get into the tour.
So first here we have Heidi by Johanna Spyri, Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett, and Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Then here we have the Peter Pan Mina Lima edition by J.M. Barrie, and The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. Going down to the first shelf, we have the left-hand side here. First, we have Austenland, and then Midnight in Austenland by Shannon Hale. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Then we have some Jane Austen books, starting with Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, Northanger Abbey, Emma, Mansfield Park, and Sense and Sensibility. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. A Christmas Carol and Other Christmas Writings by Charles Dickens. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Then we have Mary Poppins, an 80th Anniversary Edition by P. L. Tavers. The Giver by Lois Lowry. A Tale of Two Cities and Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Morgue, A Life in Death by Dr. Vincent DeMaio and Ron Franskell. Working Stiff, 2 Years, 262 Bodies, and the Making of a Medical Examiner by Judy Melanick. Columbine by Dave Cullen. Fifth Avenue, 5 a.m. by Sam Wasson. Moving down to the next shelf, The Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Animal Farm by George Orwell and 1984 by George Orwell. Watership Down by Richard Adams. King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table by Roger Lancelyn Green. Another edition of Peter Pan. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. Carmilla by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And The Water Babies by Charles Kingsley. And I have another edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but this is illustrated by Salvador Dali, and it's super cool. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Other Tales by Washington Irvine. Moving on, we have a lot of Outlander books, and we have this weird edition of Dragonfly and Amber that I accidentally bought, and then I have this little notebook, Game of Thrones, Melisandre. Very cool, very cool. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. Dragonfly and Amber. Voyager. Drums of Autumn. The Fiery Cross. A Breath of Snow and Ashes. Lord John and the Brotherhood of the Blade. The Darkest Powers Trilogy by Kelly Armstrong. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Wicked Wit of Charles Dickens by Shelley Klein. Game of Thrones. A Feast for Crows. A Storm of Swords. A Dance with Dragons. And A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. Carrie by Stephen King. Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, Book 1, A Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. Then we have the Heroes of Olympus series, starting with The Lost Hero, The Son of Neptune, The Mark of Athena, and I don't have Book 4, and so we go on to The Blood of Olympus, all by Rick Riordan. A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, Shadow of Night, and The Book of Life, Juliet by Anne Fortier, The Host by Stephanie Meyer, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, The Bone Season, and The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. Moving on to the last shelf, we have some middle grade stuff. We're going to start with The Neverland Wars by Audrey Greathouse. Then we have some Series of Unfortunate Events books, starting with The Bad Beginning, The Reptile Room, The Wide Window, The Ersatz Elevator, The Hostile Hospital, The Carnivorous Carnival, and The End. Then we have the Percy Jackson books, which include The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. The Circle by Sarah B. Elfgren and Mats Strandberg. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Necropolis, London and Its Dead by Catherine Arnold. Archer, The Ultimate Guide to Espionage and Style and Women and Also Cocktails Ever Written by Sterling Archer. And then we're moving on to the last little bit of the shelf. Murdoch Mysteries Except the Dying by Maureen Jennings, and Under the Dragon's Tale by Maureen Jennings. Inkheart, Ink Spell, and Ink Death by Cornelia Funk. The Casquette Girls by Alice Arden. The Poison Princess by Cressley Cole. Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. And Far, Far Away by Tom McNeil. Moving on to the next shelf, this is the shelf that you see behind me in videos. A Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis. Winter Spell by Claire Legrand. Strange Sweet Song by Addie Rule. Then we have the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson, which includes The Kiss of Deception, The Heart of Betrayal, and The Beauty of Darkness. Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, which includes these awesome illustrations. Then we have the Twilight Series by Stephanie Meyer, New Moon, Eclipse, The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, Breaking Dawn, The Twilight Saga, The Official Illustrated Guide, and Life and Death. Moving over, we have the other side of the shelf with some figurines on it. The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. Divergent, Insurgent, Allegiant, and 4 by Veronica Roth. Illumine and Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Then we have The Merciless and The Merciless 2 by Danielle Vega. Moving down to the next shelf, we have Dune, Destined for Dune, and Shades of Dune by Carrie Corp and Lori Langdon. Fairest, Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Winter, and Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. The Witches of New York by Amy McKay. The Conspiracy of Us by Maggie Hall. Marina by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. Glass Arrow by Kristen Simmons. My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodie Meadows. Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Colhurst. Alive by Scott Sigler. Frostblood by Ellie Blake. Splintered and Unhinged by A.G. Howard. Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising by Lee Bardugo. Then we have the Raven Cycle series by Maggie Stiefvater, starting with The Raven Boys, The Dream Thieves, and Blue Lily Lily Blue. The Darkest Minds, Never Fade, and Into the Afterlight by Alexander Bracken. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Hollow City, and Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. Roseblood by A.G. Howard. This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. The Wrath and the Dawn duology, which includes The Wrath and the Dawn and The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Adier. The Archived and the Unbound by Victoria Schwab. Moving on down to the next shelf, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Lainey Taylor. These Shallow Graves by Jennifer Donnelly. The Dark Days Club by Allison Goodman. These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. The Queen of the Tierling and the Invasion of the Tierling by Erica Johansson. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. The Fifth Wave and the Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey. Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Riggs. You by Caroline Kepnes. Moving on over, we have my 2 copies of The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern and all of my unread Sarah J. Maas Throne of Glass books. The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and Empire of Storms, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and A Court of Mist and Fury. Moving on down, Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth, The Legend of Sheba by Tosca Lee, Progeny by Tosca Lee, The Diviners, and Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay, Heartless by Marissa Meyer, The Star-Touched Queen by Rashani Choshki, Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick, Dream a Little Dream and Dream On by Kirsten Gear, Half Bad and Half Wild by Sally Green, A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro, The Taking by Kimberly Derting, In the Shadow of Blackbirds by Kat Winters, and The Cure for Dreaming by Kat Winters, Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, Slade House by David Mitchell, Unhooked by Lisa Maxwell, The Winner's Curse, The Winner's Crime, and The Winner's Kiss by Marie Rutkowski, Hexed and Charmed by Michelle Chris, The Iron Trial and The Copper Gauntlet by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare, Metaltown by Kristen Simmons, The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron, Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, Welcome to Night Vale by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner. Look at those end pages. Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo, Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. Then we have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer and The Evolution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea and Between the Spark and the Burn by April Genevieve Tucholke, Midwinter Blood by Marcus Sedgwick, Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me by Tahara Mafi. The Selection series by Kira Cass, starting with The Selection, The Elite, The One, The Heir, and Happily Ever After. The House by Christina Lauren, Blithwood, and Ravencliff by Carol Goodman. Witches of America by Alex Marr. Night Film by Marisha Pessel. Dracula by Bram Stoker. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. A Treasury of Irish Fairy and Folk Tales. The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Anne Rice, The Vampire Chronicles, featuring Interview with a Vampire, The Vampire Lestat, and The Queen of the Damned. And Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. We have the Night World bind-ups by L.J. Smith, which are Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3. Then we have the Lux bind-ups by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which include Beginnings, Consequences, and Opposition. Then we have the Trilogy by Amanda Hawkins. Then we have the Sweep bind-ups by Kate Tiernan, which are Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4, and Book 5. Then we have the Iron Fae bind-up 1 by Julie Kagawa, which includes the Iron King and the Iron Daughter. Arcane by Sever Brawny. The Back Door of Midnight by Elizabeth Chandler. The Goddess Test by Amy Carter. Angel Fall by Susan E. Horns by Joe Hill. The Dead House by Dawn Kurtag. The Madman's Daughter by Megan Shepard. Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. Unspoken, The Lindburn Legacy by Sarah Reese Brennan. Across the Universe by Beth Revis. The Girl Who Never Was by Skylar Dorset. The Monstrumologist and the Curse of the Wendigo by Rick Yancey. Anna Dressed in Blood and Girl of Nightmares by Kendar Blake. And The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Okay, on to the last bookshelf here. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by J.K. Rowling. Quidditch Through the Ages. Harry a History by Melissa Anelli. The Creature Vault. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone Illustrated Edition and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets Illustrated Edition. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. My 2 copies of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone paperback and hardcover. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Prisoner of Azkaban. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Then we have the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, starting with Mistborn, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. Moving on down, we have some Cassandra Clare stuff. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them original screenplay. Lady Midnight Waterstone edition. So nice. Oh yeah. The Shadowhunter Codex by Cassandra Clare and Joshua Lewis. My City of Bones DVD. City of Bones UK edition. City of Bones Canadian edition. City of Ashes. City of Glass. City of Fallen Angels. City of Lost Souls. And City of Heavenly Fire. Then we have the Infernal Devices, starting with Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. Then we have the Bane Chronicles and the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, and my original copy of Lady Midnight. Moving on down, we have a lot more stuff. Nevernight by J. Kristoff. Oh my god, so beautiful. Star Wars, The Force Awakens Visual Dictionary, and Ultimate Star Wars. Vampire Academy, Frostbite, and Shadow Kiss, all by Rochelle Mead. Of Poseidon, Of Triton, and Of Neptune by Anna Banks. Born at Midnight, Awake at Dawn, Taken at Dusk, Whispers at Moonrise, and Chosen at Nightfall by C.C. Hunter, and the spin-off series Reborn by C.C. Hunter. Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Sweet Blood by Pete Houtman. These Vicious Masks by Taryn Shanker and Kelly Zekis. The Name of the Star and the Madness Underneath by Maureen Johnson. Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Maguire. Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen. White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout. The Caho Witch Chronicles, which include Born Wicked, Star Cursed, and Sister's Fate by Jessica Spotswood. Siempre and Siempre Redemption by J.M. Darhauer. Under the Never Sky, Through the Evernight, and Into the Still Blue by Veronica Rossi. And Isle by Jess Dory. Moving on down, I have this Disneyland bumper sticker. Velvet by Temple West. Dracula My Love by Cyree James. The Book of Ivy by Amy Engel. Omens and Visions by Kelly Armstrong. Little Known Facts About Well-Known Places Disneyland by David Hoffman. Disney Princess Comics Treasury. Kingdom Keepers by Ridley Pearson, which include Disney After Dark, Disney at Dawn, and Power Play. The Night Gardener by Jonathan Auxier. Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. Anna and the French Kiss. Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. Dark Witch by Nora Roberts. Monkey Beach by Eden Robinson. Fallen, Torment, Passion, and Rapture by Lauren Kate. Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. Legend by Marie Lu. The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. The Phantom Coach by Michael Sims. The Cellar by Natasha Preston. And The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. Moving on down, Summers at Castle Auburn by Sharon Shin. Graceland by Kristen Kishore. Of Metal and Wishes by Sarah Fine. Wildwood Dancing by Juliette Marillier. Secrets in the Snow by Michaela McCall. The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. My True Love Gave to Me by Stephanie Perkins. Stolen Songbird and Warrior Witch by Danielle L. Jensen. How to Be Lovely, Melissa Hellstern. The Princess Bride by William Goldman. And this edition is the first copy, and it's apparently super hard to find, and I'm so stoked on it because it's ridiculous. The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks, and I just need to take a moment to show you. I bought this off Abe Books recently, and it was listed as very good quality. No, I think not. Then I have this weird book on etiquette for reference, and some comics, including Action Comics, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, Afterlife with Archie Season 2, Darth Vader, Dr. Alpha, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, Future's End, Bongo, Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck, Aspen Universe, and The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Joyland by Stephen King, Sabriel by Garth Nix, Perfume by Patrick Suskind, Salem's Lot by Stephen King, Thinner by Stephen King, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury, Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, Dark Secrets 1 by Elizabeth Chandler, Stolen by Lucy Christopher, Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson, The Alchemist, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel by Michael Scott, Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and down to the last shelf here, Tintin in Tibet by Hergé, Archie, Obama and Palin in Riverdale, Mickey Mouse, The Evolution, The Legend, The Phenomenon, Archie vs. Predator, and I actually was able to get this signed by Fernando Rui at Fan Expo Vancouver this year. Archie Meets Kiss, and I was able to get this one signed as well from Dan Parent. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I love this art style. It's so bizarre and gory. It's amazing. Audrey Hepburn, An Elegant Spirit by Sean Hepburn Farrer. Audrey at Home, Memories of My Mother's Kitchen by Luca Dotti. The Literary Lady's Guide to the Writing Life by Neva Atlas. The Spiral Dance by Starhawk. Wicca, The Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. Writing 21st Century Fiction by Donald Moss, and The Breakout Novelist by Donald Moss. The 101 Habits of Highly Successful Novelists by Andrew McAleer. Crafting Novels and Short Stories from the editors of Writer's Digest. Write Your Novel in a Month by Jeff Girk. Thanks, But This Isn't For Us by Jessica Page Morrill. On Writing by Stephen King. Literary Terms, a Dictionary by Carl Beckson and Arthur Gans. No Plot, No Problem by Chris Batty. Take Off Your Pants, Outline Your Books for Faster, Better Writing by Libby Hawker. The Elements of Style by Strunken White. Fairy Tales of Betty and Veronica. World's Worst Crimes by Charlotte Grieg. Shadow and Haze by Paula Weston. Dead Until Dark by Charlene Harris. Chocolate by Joanne Harris. Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr. Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. Marked, Untamed, Chosen, and Betrayed by PC Cast and Kirsten Cast. And these are the first 4 books in the House of Night novels. Blood Sucking Fiends by Christopher Moore. And then I have some books that I've hidden behind the other ones. So Little Man of Disneyland, Emily Winsnap and the Monster from the Deep by Liz Kessler, Ingo by Helen Dunmore, Top 10 Greek Legends by Terry Deary, and some random Archie comics, but this is not all of them. I have like 200 in boxes in my garage. The Ultimate Book of Fairies by Susanna Marriott, and then I have my 2 floating bookshelves here, so here's the first one, and we're gonna start off with Labyrinth by Jim Henson, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, and Other Lessons from the Crematory by Caitlin Dowdy, An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield, The Book of Negroes by Lawrence Hill, Edenbrook by Julianne Donaldson, The Romanov Sisters by Helen Rappaport, The Family Romanov by Candace Fleming, By Gaslight by Stephen Price, and the Hamilton, The Revolution by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And going over here, we have my little Star Wars shelf. Then we have Figure Fantasy by Daniel Picard, Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, Bloodline by Claudia Gray, Star Wars The Force Awakens by Alan Dean Foster, A Rogue One Story by Alexander Freed, and the Star Wars Trilogy Barnes & Noble bind-up.
Thank you guys so much for sitting through all of that. If you have, congratulations. It was probably a long time. If you have any comments or questions about any of the books on my shelves, feel free to leave that below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. My name is Sarah and I will see you guys soon with another video.